Good morning everyone, and today we're looking at another one of my personal watches upon request from a lot of the viewers who asked me, oh, what's that watch you've got on your wrist? This is the, we're looking at the Seiko Propex Speedtimer men's watch today. Before we get into too much detail of the watch, let's have a little look at the box and its contents for now. So, box sits at round about, I believe it was 12 or 14 centimetres in a square shape. Around about 12 by 12, and then depth around about 9 centimetres. They're not too big in terms of the watch weight. Box weight. Box weight isn't too bad. It's probably about sort of a light medium sort of weight, not as heavy as say as a Rolex box, as you can imagine, because it's made of wood. This one's mostly made of cardboard, acetate, etc. Acetate sort of material compounds, etc. So yeah, this is obviously the initial cover of the cardboard. We're just going to remove this because this isn't part of the main box. So inside, obviously, got two manuals. Don't recommend reading them because, yeah, they're quite wordy, those manuals. That's the easiest way to put it. So, the Seiko box operates on like a slightly cushioned front panel, and which is the a lip hinge here. And obviously, the bottom is like almost like a PVC, like cardboard, well, not cardboard, but it's like a PVC light wood sort of thing. Yeah, the smooth finish underneath that. Let's get rid of this. So smooth finish to the underneath that box. Probably one of my favourite boxes here in terms of the smoothness and the quality of how it's made. Obviously got a nice little lip here, so you can get your thumb underneath that. Quite like that touch as well. Yeah, got a nice slightly cushioned top as well. So yeah, let's have a little look. And a reflective Seiko logo there. Really nice. No slight embossing there, not really printed, just slight embossing. Let's have a little look inside. So here we go. This is the Seiko Propex Speedtimer, based on the flowing lines of the first automatic watch made in 1969, also made by Seiko. So have a look at a little bit in that watch in a little bit more detail a little bit later. Yeah, also discuss the fact that I've removed the the standard Seiko Propex Speedtimer strap, and put on the black silicone strap to I just prefer that sort of bracelet. Yeah, so we'll be reviewing this strap, but not this one today, because that's the default strap that comes with it. Inside the box, you've got a slight cushioned back here with also more printing of the Seiko reflective logo. Inside the actual watch section of the watch box, it's like a cushioned cardboard sort of feel to it. Overall, really nice quality box, nice and sturdy. So, with the stainless steel strap on the actual watch, the watch weighs in. It's quite hard to find this online. I weighed it on the scales. The actual watch weight sits around about 0.17. That's with this strap on it. Here we go. Initial look at the face. Turn that around a little bit more so you can see it. Overall, nice sort of jet black and white theme to it. So, the price of this watch sits at around about £600. You can buy this from Goldsmiths, you can buy it from Seiko, you can get it from a number of places, I think, really, because it's a very popular watch. Also, it has that hint of the Daytona Rolex Panda look to it as well. That's what I believe they were going for in terms of the design. But it's mostly designed to inspire from the old-fashioned Propex watch they used to measure like races with in terms of time. So, colour. The colour isn't just, say, a white. It is a pearl, really bright white, which is what won me over with the watch. With jet black dials, with pearl white hands as well. Surrounded by, obviously, the bezel, which is a tachymeter. Jet black with white acetate finish to those numbers. Hands are all luminous, so all dials luminous, all three of them, right, so 1, 2, 3, and the actual face all luminous, with little straight and arrowhead slight finish hands to them here, with like a creamy sort of interior. These hands actually show up blue in the dark. I wonder if I can get this to show. No, I can't. Yeah, so they actually show up blue, and it's a sky blue colour if you've been outside all day. So it's really nice finish, and the little dots, everything that's cream based on this watch shines up blue at night. So there we go. That's that. Glass type, sapphire as well. Waterproofness. Now I don't know. I did check this. I think the waterproofness to this watch is 25 or 50 meters, so it's not a lot. The case size sits at 38 millimeters, and it's made of steel, this case here, but we'll look at that in a second. Yeah, so obviously this watch operates a quartz movement. You've also got, as I said, you've got 3 dials. One does your another clock, so it's a 24-hour clock again, just to represent the sort of how far the day's gone. So it's nearly 11 o'clock now, UK time. As you can see, we're nearly halfway through the day. So it's clearly a clear way of seeing how quick you are through the day if you don't know how to do it. Now, this watch has a bit of a unique function because the panel is operated by a battery as well as the sun. So the sun will charge this battery up, which will bring me on to what this little tiny F and E do. So yeah, the dial charges the battery by sun. You don't need to worry too much about that for the first sort of 5-10 years, because the battery will last. It says that the manufacturer says it's going to last that long anyway. But yeah, that little F and E, when you have used this watch for a while, that F and E will represent how much charge the watch has. So the F means full of charge, and then which will get you, I believe, it's over 150 days of life left at least, or over 365. It's either one of those, and when it's at half, I believe it's just under 100. I do need to double check that. Yeah, so I believe that's how it works. But you can, with this watch, you've also got a speed timer and tachymeter as well. So you can obviously time that, and if you watch what happens here, watch that bottom dial go. So there we go. That moves into a measuring format. So there we go. We press that again, and obviously you've got your seconds hand up here rather than on, say, a ticking meter, because we use this actual seconds hand here to time stuff instead. So to reset that, obviously we push that bottom one, and to get that back to go to the F again, or the E, or wherever it was, you just let it do it on its own. It will convert back after a couple of minutes. So that's the actual watch and its features. So looking at the bezel, obviously, as you can see, it's jet black finish, with obviously this tachymeter in white on the side. Doesn't rotate or anything, as you could expect. It's just fixed in place. There we go. Nothing inside the watch, just the plain inside metal strip. Casing, obviously not very clean, but made of polished stainless steel here. Moving it round. See two buttons, and obviously your crown. The crown on this doesn't screw down. Also, I wasn't a big fan of the quality of these buttons, because when you if you pick it up like this or something, you might feel these move slightly. It's like move inwards. I think it's like a slight give in these buttons here, but that's no issue really. You've got 2 crown positions on this, not going to change them because this is set perfectly. You've got first position obviously for the date dial here, which is no Cyclops eye on that, as you can see, and obviously the second position to adjust the time. So there we go. And looking at the back, got that Seiko print on the back there with a nice plate that you can remove if you want to change the resistance. Oh, here we go. So resistance is 10 bar. So I believe is that 100 meters or 50 meters? I should know. Yeah, I'll look this up for the next video. But whatever 10 bar is, have a look on the internet. In terms of your adjusting pins, so I'll be reviewing this strap now, but the popper pins are, I believe they're single-ended. Actually, no, they might be double-ended. Let's have a look. Yeah, so double-ended popper pins here. You can opt to have, I should have single poppers on this, but I don't. I just prefer the double ones. and the width of them compared to, say, a Luminox watch, which I've just done a review of. They're not as thick, but then they're just sort of standard size. So now this is obviously that watch done. I'm gonna have a little look at this bracelet now. So the bracelet operates on a punching pin basis, so you will need a hammer and a pin, something to go in these gaps to push these through. It does not operate on a screw basis, which is very similar to what this bracelet looks like. It looks like an oyster, but with deep heels on it. Yeah, so the width of the bracelet, if you ever wanted to change it, width at lug, I'm going to measure this on the watch. The width at lug, let's have a look. I believe it's 21 or 20. Yeah, so it's 20, so you probably will need 21mm lugs to adjust that size. Strap is a brushed stainless steel strap, as you can see. The buckle, also brushed as well, brushed stainless steel. Open up connection is a triple fold over system, so 2 little pins here, opens up like that, and then comes out again, so a triple system. Yeah, so three components, 1, 2 and 3. Serials, no so much serials on this, but you might have some codes here as well on this bracelet here. There we go, so that's the strap. Let's have a little look with the watch on now. Got this Grand Complication Accurist on at the moment today whilst I've been going through reviewing my main watches. Feel free to fast forward this bit, by the way. There we go. So on the wrist, really sharp, really nice colour. All my watches sort of have this very similar sort of aspect to it. You can see, strap's really good, really nice and good. So there we go. That is the Seiko Propex Speedtimer Solar. I hope you enjoyed that video, and I'll see you on the next one.